Wanted to welcome you to session 3, Genre of the Old Testament by Charles Ross, narrated by Charles Ross as well. Part 1, Genre of Exodus, chapter 21, verses 1 through 18, English Standard Version, part 1. The genre of Exodus is the narrative history and the laws. Part 2, we find that Israel defies God, and God inspires Moses to create the laws that the Israelis are governed by. Part 3 in Exodus chapter 1 is about laws regarding servants, personal injury, and property. This chapter commences the discussion of the laws given to the people of Israel, which some still are being used in modern society today. The Lord tells Moses that there were laws that he was to give to the Israelites. Part 4, the summary laws are given to the Israelis, whom God inspires Moses to write the laws as Israel needs to abide by, and because of their constant disregard for God's laws, God founded that he needed to write these laws due to Israel's disobedience. We find in Exodus chapter 20, verse 26, and God spoke to all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness or anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I am the Lord your God. I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers of the children to the third and fourth generation of those whom hate me. And that's the Holy Bible, English Standard Version, created in 2011 by Zondervan Publishing Corporation. We find in the genre of Psalms 95, English Standard Version, Part 1, the Lamenate or Royal Psalms in the Song to God. Part 2, we find that Psalms 95 is known as the invitation to worship and praise to the Lord. Part 3, the 95th Psalm asserts Jehovah as the Godhead in his power of all nature and exhorts his people to serve him. A psalm of praises to the great God, O come to let us sign into the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Worship focuses on God and his greatness and not on man. Psalms 95 serves as the introduction to a series of psalms devoted to the theme of worship and praise. Part 4. In the summary we find in Psalms 95, it's a focus on God as the figurehead, and that we as a human race made in God's image, we are to worship and sing songs of praise, recognizing and focusing on our love and adoration for the creator of the heavens and the earth. It's us exalting his name and recognizing God for all that he has done. We find in Psalms 95, 2, let us come to his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. Again, referenced Holy Bible, English Standard Version 2011 by Zondervan Publishing. In the genre of Daniel chapter 3, English Standard Version, we find that the genre of Daniel is prophecy. Part 2, it shows God's favor on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were thrown in the furnace. God shows up. Not one hair or part of their garments were ever touched by the fire. We also notice in history of the Bible that a fourth person was said to have been within the scene walking around in the furnace with the three boys. Part 3, we find Nebuchadnezzar made a gold image. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego wouldn't bow. Nebuchadnezzar summoned the three men at once. he said the music will play again, and if the three won't bow the next time the music plays, they'll be thrown into the fiery furnace. The boy said, God is able to save us, but your gold idol will never get our praises. Nebuchadnezzar got angry and he said, heat the furnace 7 times hotter than normal. They didn't tie the 3 men, they just threw them into the fire, where we did see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walking around in the fire unharmed. With the Son of God, you 3 boys came out of the fire at once. Nebuchadnezzar fell on the floor, and he saw the fire didn't hurt the 3 boys at all. Part 4, the chief lesson from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is that as Christians, we'll never be able to bring the world to Christ by becoming like it, as did these 3 men. So we should, in revealing to the world a higher power, a greater purpose, a superior mortality, that the world in which we live. If we are to put before the fiery furnace, can we reveal the one who can deliver us from it? We find in 2 Corinthians 4:16 through 18, therefore do not lose heart. Therefore, outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and monetary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we'll fix our eyes on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Again, we reference the Holy Bible, English Standard Version, 2011, Zondervan Publishing. Genre of Hosea 14, English Standard Version. We find that the genre of Hosea also is prophecy. Part 2, Hosea's life and marriage was used in an allegorical way to demonstrate the waywardness of Israel and the steadfast intimacy, personal love of Yahweh. Israel is exhorted to return unto Jehovah from their sins and idols by faith in his mercy and grace through the promised Redeemer, by diligently attending on his worship and service, to take away iniquities, lifted off as a burden and ready to sink under, or as the stumbling block we often fall over. Part 4, we see that Israel's repentance and God's response. Hosea 14:1 through 3, what Israel should say in their repentance. O Israel, return to the Lord your God, for you have stumbled because of your iniquity. Take word with you and return to the Lord. Say it to him. Take away all iniquity, receive all graciously, for we will offer the sacrifices of our lips, shall not save us. And we will not ride on horses, nor will we say any more to the work of our hands, you are our gods, for you are the fatherless, that we find mercy and refuge. Holy Bible, English Standard Version, 2011, Zondervan Publishing. We also find in Hosea 14:4 through 7, God promises to restore a repenting Israel. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. I will be like the dew to Israel. He shall grow like the lily and lengthen its roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread, his beauty shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. Therefore, who dwells under his shadow shall return. They shall be received like grain and grow like a vine. Their scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. Holy Bible, English Standard Version, 2011, Zondervan Publishing. Okay, Session 3, Genre Handbook of the Old Testament Presentation Summary. We find in Exodus, Psalms, Daniel, and Hosea. In Exodus, we find that the laws are given to the Israelis, whom God inspires Moses to write the laws, and that Israel needs to abide by them, for they constant disregard for God's law and Israel's disobedience. Summary of Psalms 95 is focused on God as the figurehead, and that we as a human race are made in God's image. and we are to worship and sing songs of praise, recognizing and focusing on the love and adoration for our Creator of the heavens and the earth, and his exalting his name and recognizing God for what he has done. In Daniel 3, the chief lesson for the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is that as Christians, we will never be able to bring the world to Christ by becoming like it. As did these three men, so should we, in revealing to the world a higher power, a greater purpose, and a superior mortality that the world in which we live. If we are to put before the fiery furnace, we can reveal that the one who has delivered us has come. And in Hosea 14, Israel's extorted and returned upon Jehovah from their sins and idols by the faith in his mercy and grace through the promised Redeemer by his diligently attending his worship and service, taken away their iniquity, lifted it off as a burden as we were ready to sink under, or the stumbling block that we have fallen over. And then finally, session 3, the Genre Handbook of the Old Testament References Summary, the Holy Bible English Standard Version, Zondervan Edition 2011, and also the Holy Bible New International Version, Zondervan Edition 1974 to 2011.